Hey everybody, this is Coach Vera, and I'm coming to you live this evening to talk again with you about how do we set healthy boundaries before we know what our core values are. And so tonight, I just want to come on real quick and just discuss with you about core values, knowing your core values, establishing them, and kind of just taking a moment to maybe just go through with you real quick about identifying your core value. Again, how do we establish healthy boundaries? Healthy boundaries are what we say is non-negotiable. I will not do this. Don't cross this line in my life. This is my limits. But sometimes we can't say what our limits are or what's important to because we haven't established what's important to us. So let's go through just real quick. I just wanted to give a tip tonight on how do you just really pinpoint and identify what are some of your core values. Maybe you haven't done this exercise in the past. I've done it multiple times. I've done it throughout my life. I've revisited because maybe you did. Maybe you sat down and wrote down your values in the past. And sometimes as we age or things in life change, maybe the first time you wrote down your values, you were single. Now you may have children, maybe married, and your values have changed. And so sometimes it's important to reevaluate and make sure that your values are still what they are, or you have to incorporate other people into that system. So I just wanted to come on and let's have a quick chat about how do you identify your values, because again, you cannot set healthy boundaries. You cannot establish that line and say, this is my limit. This is what's enough for me. And when I say healthy boundaries, I want to admonish you, or I want to just ask you, sign up for my master class that's coming. It's not just a master class, but it's going to be a 3 day boot camp. I'm going to be having a 3 day boot camp in the second week, the third week of February. And it's going to be a 3 day boot camp challenge on how to set healthy boundaries. Why? Because a lot of people don't know how to set healthy boundaries. First of all, a lot of people don't even know what healthy boundaries are. But more information will be coming probably by the end of this week on how you can sign up for the 3 day boot camp challenge that I'm going to have. Setting healthy boundaries, establishing healthy boundaries, and maintaining healthy boundaries. But let's get back to the topic for tonight. The topic for tonight is, what are my core values? How do I establish my core values? If you've never done this exercise, and I'm not trying to minimize that, you know, that some people don't know, but some people have just never done this exercise. What you could do is take a moment and reflect: home, work, community, your social life. Because there need to be boundaries, or there need to be limits, or you need to have values in each area. I know I have values when it comes to work. I have a very high work ethic. I have values when it comes to my home life. I have values when it comes to professional work. I have values in my social life. And so, what you can do is just take a moment, get a piece of paper. When you get off of here, take a moment, get a piece of paper, and just take a few moments and meditate. What is really important to you? What are you passionate about? What are you most interested in? And just think, out of all those things, what is the most important thing? And don't just write one thing, write down multiple things. In home, what is the most important things to you? Life, what is most important to you? I was having a conversation with someone today about values, and we were having this very same conversation that we can't set boundaries around things because we don't know our values. And so this individual, began spitting out the values immediately to me. I value family, my walk with the Lord. I value my financial stewardship, and they just began spitting out a whole bunch of things. And I said, okay, then the next step is to prioritize each one of those things. So once you first start writing down those things: family, faith, friendships, work life, write down each one of those. And then next to each one of those things that you list, start writing down words next to them about your family. What Write down some adjectives. You value family time, freedom to be with your family, or if it's work, you value truth in work, or being, all the different adjectives and words. You like at work, you want to be creative. You want to have freedom to be, oh, the word is escaping me, to be innovative or different things. Write down different adjectives that describe what you value about each one of those things. Finances, you want to have financial freedom, you want to be a good steward. Just write down something by each one of those things that you wrote down that are important to you. And then I would love for you after that to prioritize. Which one? Your children, your faith, your work, your, whatever it is, prioritize. And within those values also that you wrote down next to it, prioritize those. Because before you can set boundaries around any of them, you have to figure out what's most important to you. So we can value our family, and we have large family, but what's most important to me is the nucleus, the core part of my family. My spiritual family is important, my overall family is important, but my relationship with myself, my husband, and I is the utmost important, that I maintain a good relationship as a wife, as a mother, as a grandmother, and not manipulating or letting anyone manipulate or take away from that time is so valuable to me. That's way here on the list. My faith walk is number one. That's top. Then my family time and my family values and how I spend time with my family, how I interact, not just spending time with them, how I interact. That comes second. Money is important. Being a good steward and being having financial freedom and the ability to grow financially, that's up there too. But the first thing on my list is my faith walk, and not compromising my faith, not compromising my integrity as a believer, not compromising my Christian walk and my faith in any manner is the first and foremost thing. So do you see what I mean when I say take time, spend a little time figuring out what your values are, what's important to you, what's number one, what's number two, and write down 3 to 5 things on your list and then prioritize them. And as you write down those things, figure out what it is about each one of those things that's crucially important to you, that they're non negotiable. So, again, for me, my faith, how I feel about my faith, it's non negotiable. How I live out my faith is non negotiable. My husband and my relationship with my husband and letting someone else dictate to us how we do that is non negotiable. Yes, that does not mean, yes, that means we can receive counseling. We can receive wise counsel and encouragement and instruction. That's not what I mean. But I don't let, I'll give you a good example. I'm married, so I don't take wise counsel for those who aren't married, who've never been married. I hope that makes sense. You have a young woman or a young man who's never been married, but they're going to tell you how to live as a married man or woman. Listen, I value my marriage. I value my grandchildren. Value my children. I value integrity, being honest. I was talking to someone today, and one of the things I said to them today is we were talking about how you interact and how you manage things. And I said, this is the way I would do that. Why? Because that's integrity to me. So to me, along with my faith walk, along with my family, my integrity is a value. And that's a boundary I don't cross. So I hope you understand why I'm coming online, because soon we're going to be talking about setting those healthy boundaries. But before you can set those healthy boundaries, you need to be able to identify what is important to you, what are your values, and what are your non-negotiables. And how then do we set parameters around that? We're going to do a whole 3-day boot camp challenge on how we set healthy boundaries. And we do it without guilt. We do it unapologetically. We're not ashamed. We don't apologize, and we don't let anyone shift us away from knowing what our values are, knowing why we live the way we do. And then the second thing I want you to do after you establish and identify your boundaries, ask yourself a question, or your values, excuse me, not your boundaries, your values. I want you to ask yourself a question. Are your values stable, or do they shift every time someone comes to you and they have another opinion? Are your values stable? Are they firm? Is this what you say you believe and what's important to you, and you really mean it? Or do you allow someone else's opinion, someone else's thoughts, someone else's values to shift your values? I just wanted to come and bring you some food for thought tonight, and also a little bit of homework exercise to tell you to make sure you identify your values. Make sure that you know what's important to you. Make sure that you have your non negotiables ready for the 3-day boot camp challenge. Make sure you're ready to go all the way in with us and spend time getting yourself, your family, your community, your area, your life ready, that people are not constantly violating you. Because we're going to go in at the top of February, and we're going to do a 3-day boot camp, and we're going to establish healthy boundaries. But when we do that, we're going to know what we're doing boundaries around, what areas of concern that we have to solidify. Why? Because we've set our foundations, we got our values straight, and we've made them stable. We're not wishy-washy, we're not rocking. We already know what's important to us. Again, this is Coach Vera, and I just came to you tonight to talk to you about core values, making sure you know what's important to you, so that when we start to set healthy boundaries, we're stable and we're not shaking. Hey, if you haven't gotten my book, Memoirs of a Survivor. I hope you can see that. Let me kind of pull it back from this screen a little bit. The light's a little blurry, but it's called Memoirs of a Survivor. Why am I promoting this? Because in this book, this is how I tell some stories, or I tell a little bit about my life, but also how I learned about boundaries and values of what was important to me. I didn't always know, guys, listen here. I didn't always know what was important. I didn't always know how what was valuable to me. But through different circumstances and situations I went through in life, I learned how to value myself. I learned how to value who my father made me to be. I learned how to value life and everything that comes with it, and to learn the lesson in it and to grow from it. If you haven't already got my book, you can get it off of Amazon. It's called Memoirs of a Survivor, Reflections of God's Intervention, Blessings, and Purpose. Why don't you go grab yourself a copy? If you want a personalized autograph copy by me, just DM me and I will make sure to get you a copy right out to your mailbox. But if you just want to get a copy, matter of fact, don't just grab one for your friend, your girlfriend, mother, father. It's a great personalized devotional type journal that you can read about, but also that you can meditate on how you can survive the trauma and life journey. Again, Coach Vera, I'll be back to talk to you again about setting core values so that you can establish healthy boundaries.